The first most common error when squatting is knee valgus. So this is when your knees come in during the squat, and it's usually when the athlete is coming up from the squatting position. So this can be due to tight or weak hip adductors, as well as overpronation. So if the issue is in your adductors, you can either work on flexibility or strengthening. And if it's overpronation, maybe try changing your shoe or use orthotics. The second most common error in squatting is excessive trunk flexion. So this is when you're not maintaining a neutral spine. It can either be just bending your back over and not really squatting, or it can be the curving of your back. This can potentially be a dangerous error in technique due to the fact that it could potentially strain your erector spinae. So some of the reasons that this happens is either you don't have a strong enough core, your Achilles tendon and glute max could be too tight and you need to work on flexibility, you could be fatigued, and you might be lifting too much weight. So some of the ways you can fix that are kind of to counteract all the reasons. Once you figure it out, you can work on that specific reason. So say your glute max and your Achilles tendon are inflexible, work on flexibility. If your core muscles aren't strong enough, you're going to want to work on strength before you continue. If you're lifting too much weight, you need to lift less. And if you're fatigued, maybe just take a break and try another day. Lastly, sometimes all the athlete needs is a little bit of coaching on proper form, and they should be able to perform the squat. And if needed, you could also use the Valsalva maneuver to maintain a neutral spine. So the third common error in technique of squatting is your heels coming off the floor. So this can be due to poor ankle mobility as well as tight glute max muscles. So you can work on the mobility and flexibility of your ankles, as well as strengthening and stretching out your glute max muscles. For a quick fix, you can use shoes with a heel, such as weightlifting shoes, or you could add a thin plate underneath the sneakers so that they're able to get into the full squat. The fourth common technique error in squatting is improper head position. So oftentimes athletes will have their neutral spine, but they will be looking up or they will be looking down. Ideally, you want to keep your head and neck in alignment with your spine. Your eyes can look slightly down if you need to for balance, but you want to keep everything else in line. If they have issues with this, the easiest fix is just a quick coaching cues to say, okay, keep your head up or keep your head down, and they should be able to maintain that neutral head and neck. The last common technique error during squat is having your knees go past your toes. In the ideal squat position, your knees will be directly above your toes and not past them. Sometimes this can just be caused by an athlete not understanding that their knees actually are going past their toes, or maybe they're just not getting enough depth in their squat. That can be fixed by some simple coaching cues and working on form. However, sometimes it can be due to having tight hip muscles or a lack of quadricep strength. So if either of those are the issues, you're just going to want to work on flexibility in the hips or working on your quad strength before you lift heavier weights. Thanks for watching this video on the 5 most common squatting errors, and I hope you are able to identify improper squatting form.